Hello, my name is Jim Feldman. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer for Shift Happens. And today I'm honored to have what I believe to be the only HR person here at this particular event. Sarbari from Cummins. I'd like to introduce her and have her tell you a little bit about her job and her company.
Thank you. My name is Sarbari. I belong to India. That's where I was born, that's where I lived and worked for the first part of 7 or 8 years. I'm from the eastern part of India, so West Bengal. Used to be part of British India, so we learned to speak English early. I worked for about 8 years in India, different industries, and then moved to Dubai for about 7 years, where I worked in electronics retail for a distributor of Sony, and then got hired by Cummins to lead Middle East distribution business as a regional HR director. I worked for Cummins for about 3 years there, and then I was asked to take an assignment in the US and move my family, interestingly, to Columbus, Indiana. And I was asked to take on a role in workforce planning, and this is 2010. Not I nor anyone else knew a lot about workforce planning, but it was an interesting journey because what it did was put me at a very interesting spot. Cummins distribution at that point of time was relatively small compared to what it is today. We're about $7+ million. We're 16,800 employees. We were smaller from a revenue and a numbers perspective, but we were on the cusp of growth. And we had just come through 2009, the great global financial crisis. We intuitively knew that our growth lay in acquisitions, and we knew it lay in the mature markets. We knew that it would tax the talent organization that supported that growth, and we didn't quite know what. So in my first couple of years, I worked with the strategy group and with the senior leaders to help craft a talent strategy for and identify kind of the key talent groups within the business that we would need to grow aggressively. It was interesting because I operated in a space, being a generalist in HR. Seeing the big picture isn't easy because you're always into transactional stuff. But raising yourself to the point of kind of looking at how do I enable this? How do I work with the functions, the technical functions that I didn't quite understand, to figure out, there is the best of both worlds. There is my HR expertise, my ability to look at talent, and the function's ability to step in with saying, well, I can define future state for you. We created a 3 to 5 year strategy, which I'm actually somewhat disappointed because every time you craft a 3 to 5 year strategy, the horizon lengthens and the environment changes. So here now, 7 or 8 years later, living in the US, I was asked to stay back at the end of my assignment. Landed up staying back, taking on all the core HR processes, hence my interest in this type of a venue. So I have all global processes for the Cummins distribution business. I also run a program management office, kind of a strategic project COE within the distribution business, HR function. And what we really do is look at bridging the gap between what the enterprise perceives as talent strategy and talent offerings and what our business needs. And the primary difference there being Cummins is predominantly manufacturing, large sites. We are, the best example I can give you is a car dealership. And so we have 600 plus locations, some of which are between 5 and 7 people. And the others are large, like in New Jersey, we have a site that has 230 people. So that's the kind of scale. We do after-sales service. Our most valuable resources are the technicians. So we have a gap in what distribution business needs to succeed and make more money and satisfy the customer, and what Cummins is able to provide. So my group works with the global talent COE within Cummins, the enterprise, to develop solutions and implement them. So I have an interesting job, a lot of different things. I also own data and analytics, so I like numbers, and I feel like as we look at kind of the big data proliferation, a lot of data plus process is going to give us the solutions to a lot of our talent problems. So that's kind of my very long-winded view of what I do.
So you talk about the talent pool, and almost everyone today is talking about the differentiation between, let's just call it the mindset of a millennial versus the mindset of a more mature C-level executive. In HR, you must have to deal with that on a daily basis.
So my daughter is a millennial, so I live with one. So I can tell you that it is a different mindset. It's different because the whole self-managing. My daughter wants to be a film director. I have no idea what she's going to do, but apparently that's fine. I think the motivations are different, and we as HR people, I don't know that we're necessarily getting it. I think there are two sides to this story in HR. I think there is one camp that is vigorously holding forth the case of the millennials, saying we need to change everything. You know, we need to become agile, we need to do scrums, we need to do all kinds of strange things because we are the millennials. And there is this other camp that thinks, oh, this is going to die down, this is a fact. I think the path is somewhere in between. Interestingly, we are doing something, this is a very small proof of concept that we're trying out in our Denver and Salt Lake City locations. We've ventured into the gig economy for our technicians. We've actually partnered with a company called Work Market, which is a platform for an on-demand work model, literally the Uber of service technicians. And we launch our site. We're not making a big deal about it because we want to see how it goes. We want to learn from it. So literally we've put out jobs that are on the labor cloud, available for a technician. We've made specifications. Obviously, we had to break the job down because if you're going to come in and work on our products, we can't give you work that is warranty implications. So we had to break the work down, but we have 22 people that have signed up, and our kind of long-term vision is this is probably where a lot of the millennials will want to engage. Because remember, I'm not talking of the white-collar, IT professional. I'm talking of a guy who lives in a farm in Nebraska and turns wrenches. So that millennial will have some similarities and some differences. We think that, and so this is kind of when we did the vision, the strategy for our workshop, and I partnered with one of my, one of the most forward-thinking colleagues in the service functional space. We did a mock-up cover to say, can we do our vision? So my colleague and I, our cover was actually one of the music magazines. And we said, what about this guy who wants to be a musician, lives in Austin, Texas, and can't really fund that, so needs a side, job gig as a technician. If we can, you struggling musicians, if you have any technical skills, come work for us part-time. Come do some jobs, and you can go play in that band and pursue your dreams. I think that's where the millennial space is. I think it's going to be different for different industries. I think what we land up doing when we kind of go on this bandwagon is we try to do a big bang, one-size-fits-all approach, and then we go off and create something that is, like agile, for example. There are ways to be agile. You don't need a scrum master for it. I think we're going to do that, and that's what I am afraid of. I think we need to be sensible. We need to look at what problem we're trying to solve. If you want to attract millennials, you have to change culture. You have to change behavior. Just saying, hey, millennials, we can give you a skateboard isn't going to help.
Now, are you finding that same shift is occurring in your customer, people that are buying your products?
Yes, we're seeing, surprisingly, the trucking industry, which is where most of our business comes from, isn't necessarily, it's owned and run by people that aren't necessarily in the millennial space. But interestingly, their children are coming into the business. And we're seeing this a little bit more probably in our Asian markets. So our Indian business that actually has channel partners that do the service, they recently started putting out together small kind of podcast type business management stuff for their for the children of the dealers. So the dealer parents themselves, they were only interested in the trucks and the engines and the service. But these guys want to learn more. But they don't want to necessarily come into a stuffy classroom and sit and listen. They want on-demand learning. In India, almost everyone has a smartphone of some type. It's incredible what the technology penetration is. So they put it out on podcasts. Now, that is not a customer, it's a partner. But hey, it's a start.
So if you look at the last couple of years where we had a political election, we've had a lot of disruption, we've had, let's just say, a change, a shift. If you were putting on your crystal ball in your business, what would be that one light bulb or aha moment you'd like to share with our audience?
I think it will be not doing the same thing just because it has worked. I think we're looking at, trucking and engines is very cyclical. And I think we have been used to cycles that have, we've had down cycles, we've managed it, and then we have a change in emission regulations and we have a bunch of pre-buys, so we make a lot of money. I think that cyclicality will remain, but it's becoming shallow. So doing something which is very resource intensive and doing something globally, getting 200 people in a ballroom, is the approach that I think a lot of large companies, including mine, fall into. I think that the approach of the future is going to be more local, heavily customized. I think you still need core principles. You need core principles. You do need values because values are going to drive your behaviors. And at the end of the day, it's the consistency of behavior that people see, and that's what attracts your future talent, your customers. But I think the issue is, as you change and pivot, you can't do long term. You will not have those ups and downs. You can't do 3 to 5 year planning cycles. You've got to become smaller. And I think large corporations such as mine are struggling with that. We still like our command and control lines. We like our, straight, even though Cummins is heavily matrix. We are heavily matrixed. But I think the informal lines, the groups coming together to create new thought, new ideas, we're not necessarily ready for that. And I think if I were to look at just the next few years, and I've actually stopped planning even my life in 3 to 5 years, I think we will need agility, we need flexibility.
Great. Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Again, this is Jim. Thanks for listening.